Is them's good. Pew.
Is good. Okay, we ready? Are we getting right in? Hey friends, welcome back to your favorite podcast, That Would Be Rad, a podcast that majors in 80s and 90s nostalgia, comic culture, all things paranormal, and minors in retro video games, tabletop RPGs, pre-internet mysteries, and raising our kids to be half as cool as we were back in the 80s. I'm your host, Tyler Bentz, and this is your other host,
Woody Brown.
Hey man.
What's up, brother?
I feel like my chair is just...
Is it getting squeakier or like is it calming down a little bit?
No, it's definitely getting squeakier.
Well, I don't know if you got ants in your pants or why you're, jittering around over there, but just try sitting still.
I mean, I'm literally barely moving and it does this.
Mine's the same way.
It's the worst. All right, man, let's get into it. What do we got planned today? We're going to talk a little about what we did last week.
Yeah, and I got to say something though real quick here. It's kind of like a little personal story. You could call it not really a personal tragedy, but just an interesting thing that happened to me over the last weekend. You see, folks, and I learned my lesson very quickly. So there's apparently this brand of candy that is quote unquote healthier. And by the way, thanks to whatever saint that wrote the article recently that came out that said, don't bother giving your kids healthy treats for Halloween. We thank you. Okay, exactly. Yeah. Like nobody likes to go to the house that's passing out the pretzels. All right.
Yeah. Or popcorn balls. Or apples.
No, slow your roll. I do like a popcorn ball.
Yeah, but as a kid you didn't.
Oh yeah, I did, man.
Oh, I didn't. That popcorn ball was immediately thrown back at the house after we left.
I mean, it does make a good, projectile.
Yeah.
But anyways, my wife happened to, I guess, see some advertisement for this, healthier candy. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a little bit of a sweet tooth. I love Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, gummy bears.
You like Swedish Fish?
Oh, yeah, man.
I think they're kind of bland.
No, they're not.
They are bland.
They're not bland.
I mean, I like Twizzlers. Okay, Twizzlers or Red Vines.
Oh, God, that's a tough one, man.
It is not even remotely tough.
But yes, it is because they're two. No, in my book, they're not the same. They're different enough to like them for different reasons and to get them for different reasons. If I'm going on a camp out, I like to get... Hold on now. If I'm going on a camp out, I like to get Twizzlers. If I'm watching a movie, I like to get Red Vines.
If I'm going to prison, I like Red Vines because I can crawl out of the window with them. They're the worst.
Dude, this story is just getting real drawn out here. But essentially,
real quick though, hey, this is a good a fact that it's sort of not a lot of people know about this, but actually, Red Vines are created from the runoff of toys made by Mattel.
Dude, that's pretty good. I got to give it to you. Here's your first attaboy for the episode. Attaboy. Tyler.
All right.
Hey man. Congrats, man. Okay, so bottom line is I tried out this healthy candy,
Garbage.
Yeah, but hold on. You know what? I'm doing a terrible job setting it up. So for watching Dune for the second time on HBO, because the second time I wanted to stream it for free and keep on watching it. I'm the kind of person, I got to have some candy, a little bit of popcorn. Whenever I'm watching a movie, it's just like a tradition, right? So we got that going. She picked up a bag of this, quote unquote, healthier candy. We start chewing in these things, and literally, I'm just like, dadgum, these things are really sort of sticky and chewy. And she had the same observation. By the way, they tasted really weird. Right when she says, boy, these things really are sticky, I'm like, wait a minute. And I have a crown on one of my molars, and that sucker came off with that dadgum healthy candy.
Man, that is the worst.
Yeah, it is, and it freaked me out, and I didn't know what the heck to do. Luckily, I go to a kind of a family dentist that's much more sort of small town vibe.
He's actually like an animal vet.
Yeah, he's like a vet, a blacksmith, and a dentist. It's really cool. No,
And you actually bartered some banana bread for
gave
to
him
fix
some of
your
my wife's
crown.
banana bread, which tell him,
By the way, holy
talk about it, man.
Jesus, dude.
Dude, if anybody ever wondered why I have to like run 1,000 miles just to be kind of not in bad shape, it's because of my wife's cooking, man.
Yeah, you said this a couple episodes back about her cooking, and I've always been a fan. I think Ann makes terrible drinks, but I think she is a.
No way, man. She
I
makes
think
a
she
good
is
old
a-
fashioned. You're just not used to it, man. You like to drink that like
debatable.
cran and vodka stuff.
That's
okay.
Not enough sugar, not enough sweetness.
needs it?
Anyway, this is a family podcast.
Okay.
She
Shirley Temples.
this leads actually kind of into our next story, but she made some banana bread, and I happened to show up right as it was coming out of the oven.
Man, smelled delicious.
And holy cow! I mean, it's the best like banana bread or wait, is it banana bread or pumpkin?
it was banana bread.
It did kind of have a pumpkin-y thing though,
I don't-
which I'm a huge fan of. One of the best things I've ever tasted in my life.
Yeah, it's delicious, man.
Incredible.
Anyway, moral of the story is every dentist around was like closed on the weekends, right? Well, I call my dentist up and because
Not
I'm
your
like,
bet, though.
I mean, I'm just going to try to see if he's got like a emergency line. Well, on the voicemail, it says, hey, if this is an emergency, call, 555 1234 5555 or whatever.
Did he just give you like another person's
No, dude.
line?
So all of a sudden the phone rings and it's like, hello? And it sounded like a super young, I'm like, I just didn't expect whoever was on the other end of this phone. So I'm like, hello, sorry. Is this, Dr. So-and-so's, heck, I'll give him a shout out on here. Dr. Phillips emergency line. He's like, yes, this is Dr. Phillips. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Dr. Phillips. I didn't mean to disturb you on a Saturday. Here's what happened. He told me a very quick solution that would last until you could see me on Monday. And in other words, like, this was his cell phone, man. And, like all the other dentist offices were just like, closed, can't see it, come in Monday. Sorry if you got, teeth falling out of your head.
But who cares?
The bottom line is this wouldn't have had two things here. Number one, healthy candy sucks. It tasted weird and it pulls your teeth out of your head.
Amen.
Number two, should have gotten the regular candy. And my wife knows better now.
Yeah, but real quick, I mean, the banana bread that I had clearly was not healthy.
Well, yeah, it's pretty healthy, dude.
Really?
Well, I mean, probably healthier than just pure sugar with artificial coloring shaped in the shape of a fish. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's reason enough not to eat those silly Swedish candies.
I'm a weirdo. I don't really care for like chocolate.
See, I'm the opposite. I like the.
And so is my wife. She's like super into chocolate. I could never taste another piece of chocolate for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't care.
Oh, get out of here!
I'm just being serious.
Yeah, you and our buddy Jeremy are very similar in like, if you guys go to the movies, you get like the like Sour Patch Kids, the Skittles. I'm getting like the
Snow caps.
I've never got those actually, but I always see them. I'm always like, those look pretty good.
Yeah.
I always get like peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, but I mean that's solid too. I'm just saying, like I would get those if I was getting three things.
Yeah, but I never think of like this to get like the stuff that's just super sugary or like sweet. I'm like more into like, hey, I'm kind of hungry.
Why not make a meal out of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Get a
I'm
little
gonna
protein
make a meal out
and
of
some
this.
chocolate. No, I understand.
whole
I'm not
bag.
going for like, oh, this is super sugary. I'm going for this tastes better to me.
I mean, it's definitely not super sugary though.
Okay. But this is a good reason to kind of segue into the last time you and I happened to be in a movie theater together.
When was
Well,
this?
I mean, just a couple of weeks ago,
Usually, you never invite me anymore, so it's usually like,
dude, are you kidding me here? We'll talk about it. No, you watched the new Venom movie. You watched the
our buddy Danny.
Magic of the Circles
invited
or
me.
whatever. What is it called?
The what?
The Kung Fu Master adaptation.
Magic in the Water. Oh, Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I'm checking through my phone. I'm scrolling right now.
Yeah. Well,
This is your opportunity. Ladies and
but
gentlemen.
we always go.
He didn't invite me.
We go after 5 o'clock, and as we
That's
all
past my
know,
bedtime, so.
yeah. I mean, it's you're batting down the hatch, closing the windows, getting ready for bed.
Well,
I just had the funniest visual image of you in like old timey like pajama cap, from like a Christmas
yeah.
story. full, pajama, like button-up shirt, just sitting at your front table watching the sun go down as you're drinking a warm cup of milk.
And I'm just like, what a day. What a day.
day.
Well, get up tomorrow and do it again.
Yeah.
So anyways, we went to the movies recently because if you follow us on Instagram, we had the opportunity to essentially have a private screening of
It was amazing.
Halloween Kills Witch. Before we get into all the stuff about maybe potentially, if we want to, the movie and everything, what we thought.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This is a Cajun Spice Ruffles tater chip. Now, some people might think it's too hot. No, it's not too hot. It's spicy, yeah. Now it's hot, I'll guarantee.
Cajun Spice Ruffles brand potato chips.
I gotta take a break. I wanna play in the rain and take a break. 7-Up so cool and clear. Yeah, it feels as good as the rain that's out here. Gotta take a break. 7-Up. I wanna play in the rain and take a break. It's so good coming down.
Now you could win a year's worth of free travel on United Airlines, plus $25,000. Look for the 7-Up Play All Day game.
7-Up.
America's future can be determined by our dreams and our visions.
It was very intense, bright light.
For over 200 years, there have been reports of giant man-like creatures.
From another dimension, another world, I don't know.
The most intriguing mystery on the North American continent.
Hey, this is Bryce Johnson from the Bigfoot Collectors Club, and you're listening to Tyler and Woody on That Would Be Rad, because that is rad.
What I was going to say is, I have to say, if you're able, I highly recommend watching certain types of movies like this. Like I wouldn't have wanted to, well, at least with this crowd, watch Dune like this because everybody would be talking and joking and stuff. But a scary movie, it reminded me of being in high school, going to see a scary movie with your best friends and just like laughing about stuff that's not funny. And like, it was awesome, man. And, we were lucky enough to like be able to invite some of our close friends and fellow listeners of the podcast that live in the local area. And it was just, dude, it was so awesome.
Yeah, on that, there's a lot of things that I don't like about LA, that sort of California gets wrong in general. But I will say that is one of the things that was way different for me. Grew up in rural North Georgia. And so, you like go to the movies and it's like everybody's really courteous and you're like quiet for the most part and all that. When I moved out to LA years and years and years ago, that was one of the things that kind of blew me away. I remember the first movie we saw whenever I moved out there was, I think, the first or the second Saw movie. And it was like for a split second, I was like, man, what is happening? Because everybody is like so loud. They're like kind of like talking, but then you kind of like get into it and it becomes like this sort of like event where you're all kind of like part of this like show almost. And it's really cool. And it's exactly like what we experienced the other night. But like that's just for the most part how.
And see, for me, like there's a time that I can take that and there's a time that I can't. Like if people are talking.
Yeah, for like Dune or like something like a Marvel movie or something, it's like, just shut up.
Well, I mean, dude, I almost said Star Wars just then, but I always go to see it on opening day, but like early while kids are still in school.
Oh, yeah.
And oh, dude, I remember when, regardless of what anybody thinks about the newest trilogy, when The Force Awakens opened, I was sitting next to these dudes that were clearly like, all three of them were like brothers, and they like came in and just like the energy in that theater was just like electric and
palpable.
Yeah, and so we were like talking to them and stuff, and they're like, dude, we grew up on this stuff. I'm like, yeah, God, me too, and it's just so neat to see that. And then when things would happen, all of us were like, oh, I mean, complete strangers, man. We're like, oh my gosh, like grabbing his shoulder and just being like, dude.
Just making out.
Okay. It was awesome. So like there's certain circumstances where I think that is fun. There's others where it's like, hey man, man, I'm just trying to watch. I'm just trying to watch the movie, but hey man, congrats.
Well, I think horror movies are kind of perfect for it. I mean, especially the movie that we saw the other night.
Yeah, but it can get obnoxious sometimes. Not with our group, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes I don't know if it's not your crowd.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the worst part is when you have like that one guy who's like
always making light.
You better run.
Yeah, or always making light of something, And it's like,
exactly.
Come on, man, you can't get into the vibe.
Yeah, that sucks.
So what did you think of Halloween Kills?
So let me start out by saying, and I think I've said this on here before, I grew up being a Nightmare on Elm Street kid. Big fan. I loved and I've never thought of this until just now. I don't know if people know, but I'm a huge Batman fan. I do 1 million commissions per year of Batman, and I'm cool with it. I just love Batman. And so I think the reason maybe that I liked Freddy Krueger so much is he's kind of that like Joker sort of trickster archetype. So Halloween, I've never thought about that. But Halloween and Friday the 13th, it's like I would see them here and there, and they were cool, but it just felt sort of like, they were playing in like a different ballpark than Freddy. Freddy always felt like, it was kind of silly sometimes, but he was sort of all powerful. He was super charismatic. He was like funny, but like super sort of like demented and kind of like, but it really kind of played up the, again, that sort of trickster archetype, which I love. I always felt sort of like, Jason and Michael Myers were just kind of like brutish and kind of like dumb, and they were just kind of they were just kind of lumbering. Whereas like Freddy, it's like, dude, you could
the second you fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly. A part of our human biology that is like necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of which, did we talk about?
So that was always that's part of the reason that it appealed to me too. Like I, like you, enjoyed that trickster archetype piece that Freddy is. That was entertaining, but to me, the fact that like the second you fall asleep, you're in his domain was always the scariest part. Like you
can't escape
that first movie. You just like really kind of dig into the idea of like this person's trying to stay awake. They're trying so hard, and like, hey, sit right here and just make sure I don't fall asleep. Oh, okay, Nancy. Boom. Next thing you know, and then that blend of, are they in a dream or are they not? That's one of the things that I loved about, especially that first movie. They blend those two worlds to where, as a viewer, you can't tell. You never know, right? Because there's not like this, like, oh, there's a milky haze filter, and so they must be in a dream. It's just like those aspects, just kind of like reality and dream world, they looked the same, and so you just never knew, and that was always just like, man, terrifying to me.
Yeah, well, and then also you kind of had another. I think the thing that was really cool. I mean, us as like children of the 80s, you the 60s, they, the equally interesting factors of those movies. You had Freddy, who was like sort of, like we said, the sort of the trickster archetype, the, whatever. But then you had like, especially the like Dream Warriors and the Dream Master, like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It kind of blended in that like, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like
Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. The kids were kind of like the Goonies almost, or like the Frog Boys. It's like they all kind of like played this role. You had like the black dude was like the super strong guy. The like punk girl had like switchblades. Like the little kid in like the wheelchair had like, he was like the wizard. It was like, honestly, if I could only see one Nightmare on Elm Street, it would be part 3.
Yeah.
So
man, like it's so cool that they bring in those type of characters, because like if you look at the other movies that you mentioned, like the other franchises, Friday the 13th or Halloween, it's like you never really dig past sort of just like the normal, hey, this guy plays football, she's the kind of like rich girl, that kind of thing. This one kind of took it into, like you said, like the stuff that like really appealed to us as kids, and the characters that really appealed to us back then as well.
The Monster Squad, that's another
Oh gosh, yes.
But yeah, like that, I always love that stuff. Whereas again, it's like something about Halloween, something about Friday the 13th. It felt a lot more sort of one-dimensional. It felt like, oh, here's some here's a cast of characters who I'm never gonna see again, is just sort of like they just provide like fodder for murder, you know.
I mean, less so in the Halloween movies because a lot of it is just centered around Jamie Lee Curtis's character. You know, it's recurring.
Yeah.
And as we've seen through our previous episodes, you know, when we went through the entire Friday the 13th franchise.
Well, you did.
Yeah, true. Watched them all. I talked about
And then you broke it down for me.
Oh, boy. Those kind of like appeal more now. Same with Halloween for me. I mean, Halloween has always kind of held a special place in my heart because in high school I had a buddy who we invited and he came with his wife to watch Halloween Kills with us. So it was like full circle, really cool. But I remember one day,
shout out to Jeremiah Perez.
One day in high school, I think it may have been 9th grade or something. He was kind of like, he said something about Mike Myers. And as we kind of talked about throughout this show, you know, growing up, my mom was very like anti this kind of stuff. So the only opportunity I ever had really to watch this kind of stuff was, you know, at a buddy's house. And so he mentioned something. He was like, yeah, something Mike Myers. And I'm like, I don't, okay, what is, I don't know. What do you mean? Wayne's World?
Is that a kid in gym?
You mean like in Wayne's World? And he's like, no, dude, like Michael Myers. Halloween. You've never seen a Halloween movie? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like a scary movie? He's like, no, like Halloween. I'm like, got it. Like, you mean a pump, there's like it takes place during
a jack-o'-lantern.
He's like, no, dude, there's a whole, you got to come over after school. And I'm like, okay. He pops this sucker in the VCR and I was hooked, man, because it's that thing that we talk about all the time. I think, you know, we've talked about things that scare us and stuff. One of those things, and you know, gosh, I talked about it a little bit in last week's episode whenever I kind of retold my wife's scary story, just the idea of someone being outside of the window, just seeing someone standing there.
Yeah, dude, that's the scariest. That like out of anything that I've ever seen of the Halloween franchise, that single moment in the first movie where it's broad daylight and she's in school, she happens to look out the window and he's just standing there.
Yep.
It's like something that's so
creepy, dude.
Weird.
Ugh.
It's weird because it doesn't like fit.
Right.
You know, you've never seen like a slasher character like that wasn't like in the middle of the night or hiding in the dark. So to see that like just out in broad daylight, it really was like a bold and pretty innovative way of handling a character at the time. You know, and still is. I really can't even think of anything like that since.
Yeah, man. I mean,
in that
nothing
way
that I can think of either. I mean, and you know, right now on Netflix, you can watch the movies that made a series that kind of talks about Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. And you can kind of see how, man, low budget they all were and how like shoestring budget and how they almost didn't get made and how they were able to cut corners and stuff. And if you haven't watched them on those three, I highly recommend it. Of course, when you're listening to this, it's the day after Halloween.
Yeah.
So you might be a little Halloweened out. If you're like us, we basically pepper the Halloween spirit throughout the year.
We sure do. Yeah.
But you might, you know, I remember this time last year, I was a little burnt out. Of
you were
stories. I was like, man, I got to start watching some. Hey, man, put in the Matrix, okay?
Yeah. But going back to, we kind of went off on a rabbit trail there, but let's get back to
what'd you think?
I thought it was amazing. I've probably seen a handful. I know I've seen the first one, maybe the second one, and then maybe H2O. I definitely saw the first. I had an ex-girlfriend who also, like Jeremiah, was like obsessed with Michael Myers, and I never really like understood it. It just didn't make sense. But I did see the first, the Rob Zombie one, which I thought was pretty cool.
I never saw this actually.
A little bit of that weird like white trash kind of vibe.
Which is also like in its own right another element.
Oh,
it's
it's scary,
man.
Yeah. I don't necessarily love to see it.
Grosses me out.
Yeah. But I gotta say, man, it like, and again, I'm not the person to talk to for like the Halloween franchise, but man, I thought it was the best one by far of any that I've seen. Yeah.
I mean, from what I see online too, it's been pretty divisive in terms of like how it holds up to the franchise. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining. I actually liked the one that came out before it.
Yeah.
That kind of because
You told
apparently
me
it's
about
part
that
of a trilogy or whatever.
Yeah, Jeremiah told us that, and we didn't even.
So the next one that's
And I
going to
guess-
come out is Halloween Ends.
Ends,
and
yeah.
And so I didn't know that, but I kind of liked the other one just a little bit better. But this one I thought was pretty cool too. And I mean, as far as entertainment value goes, it was a blast, man. And it
really was.
It's like with all these movies, at the end of the day, are we trying to reinvent the wheel here? No. In fact, I think if there's anything that we've learned after dozens of these movies have come out for all of these franchises, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to give the fans kind of what they want and maybe do a little, different things here and there. I'll say in terms of like the actual kill scenes, man, I mean,
amazing.
Super gruesome. I admittedly kind of had to be like, oh gosh, oof, man, some of it's a little much for me, but I thought it was a fun movie, man. And at the end of the day,
it's
that's
awesome.
all that matters. We're not trying to learn stuff,
Although I do got to say that are we going to do any kind of spoiler alert maybe?
Yeah, I mean, let's just not.
I mean, it's not really spoiler, but I'm just going to
say and then you're like, no, trust me, and then it's ruined.
Well, no. And I'll be vague here, but I do like that there was somewhat of an explanation on like you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can we say that?
Yeah,
I think we can talk about
what do you mean? You mean like the
basically he's getting stabbed a million times. And it's
yeah. Well, and they've kind of tried to explain it over the franchise. I don't know.
It's like the fear and the anger gets like it's like he transcends. I think was the word that's used in the movie. But I did really, really like that.
Yeah.
I thought that
and I wonder too if you have less experience with the franchise, if you would like it better,
Well, I did feel like I was missing a lot because the one thing that I did
not do was actually do your homework, which is watch at least the one that came before this one. Didn't do it.
Well, I had you on the way over.
The worst. I know. That was kind of fun, actually. Like, as we're riding to the movie theater, I get to guys, I love storytelling. And so I got to do that with the first one. But, I got to say, the one complaint I have, if I was editing that movie, I would have done it differently. It starts out with this scene that is cool that I think they should have put later as like a callback sequence. I think it should have started immediately where, whenever you've seen it in the trailer, it shows the fire trucks passing by. Jamie Lee Curtis is yelling "Let it burn!"
Yeah.
And then you see the whole sequence of Michael Myers coming out of the burning house and stuff. That's where the movie should have started, right out of the gate, heart pumping, just oh my gosh,
Well, and you had told me so. In Woody's I gotta say, I feel like you explaining this movie as opposed to me seeing the movie more than likely had me way more pumped because I was like, oh, I get this is awesome.
That's what I'm saying. If anybody's out there in Hollywood, yo, Bryce, let me just take a swing at editing something for you because
there you go.
I feel like I could have made that movie. There's certain I could have made it a little better. And also, if you need anybody that says, "Do the kid a favor, lady, don't scream," I'm your man.
There it is, yeah. And you had kind of set it up and telling me, because I guess you had seen somewhere that scene. So you were like, yeah, and this one just picks up right.
Yeah, it's
and
in
it
the
was
trailer.
Yeah. So the way that it was set up, it's like they get to that scene, I don't know, 15 minutes in, and it's sort of
it's a little lackluster.
why did
man,
they do that?
Bit.
Yeah.
Because you've got this backstory thing that they created just to be able to come back around to it sort of in a way. And it's I don't know. That's just my biggest kind of complaint. Everything else it was a fun movie,
Yeah. Well, and I can see why a lot of the bad reviews are coming from younger kids who are just okay, boomer.
Well, also because
all old people.
Yeah. Which I thought that kind of was kind of cool. It's a little hard to see old Anthony Michael Hall just as the thick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's
agree.
got sausage fingers now. He used to be a little skinny dude, man. Weird Science.
Dude,
oh my God. Speaking of movies that I wish I could have just lived inside of.
Oh, me too.
Boy.
Also, I've got to say, dude, massive shout out to Clayton, your boss, for making that night happen.
Yeah, man.
Because it was super cool, and it was his idea, right?
He kind of came out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, man, this movie's coming out. I've done this before, and I think it would be really cool if you guys did this, and I'll sponsor it." And I was like,
yeah, that's incredible, dude.
I mean, it's amazing, man. So definitely thank you, Clayton and the Rhodes Group. And by the way, if you're not getting your insurance from a cool podcaster guy like myself, and you live in the state of Georgia, now if you live somewhere else, I'm sorry, I'm not licensed there. But if you want, I mean, in all seriousness, if you want somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, that's going to give you some good customer experience, all that stuff, what are you doing?
Yeah, you sent me Clayton's number the other day, and I'm such a forgetful bastard that
of course, dude.
I have yet to send him a text
right now while we're all listening.
Thanks.
Do it right now while we're all listening.
Clayton.
Well, dude, can
Rhodes.
we just talk about real quick? If you don't know Tyler, and sometimes it's not even like a sense of humor thing. It's more like once he and I have done something for so long, my wife and I are the same way. We say certain words wrong because it was funny back in the day, like it was like one of our kids said it different or whatever.
It's like life is one constant inside joke.
Instead of pizza, for example, we say, "How about a pita?" Because that's what our kid, so it's little stuff like that we constantly say, and then we realize in real world that we're saying it wrong, and that people might think we're nut jobs. Well, we're sitting there, standing around, waiting for everybody to come up for this private screening, and everybody's there. Except I thought maybe we're missing one, and it happened to be like, I think Christian was running late. And so
Christian.
What's up, brother? You said, "Hey, man, do we got everybody? Are we missing somebody?" And I'm like, "I think we might be missing one person." And you're like, "Who?" "Clayton." And Clayton was already
so
there.
disrespectful.
And Clayton doesn't really know Tyler that well. Luckily, I don't think he took any offense to it because you weren't doing it in a mean way. The reason Tyler says it that way is because of the movie Saving Silverman.
Saving Silverman,
where
that's right.
Jack
Steve
Black. Vaughn is actually the one that's just like, okay.
Oh, is it him?
Clayton. Yeah.
Who's Darren talking to?
Those are his new friends.
Oh, hey, guys.
Oh, good. I'll have a Merlot.
I'll have Spritzer.
We don't work here.
You fooled me. Okay, my name is Brett, and this is Clayton.
And this is Darren.
Yeah, we know who he is. Clayton. Darren's our friend, Brett. We knew him first. Die, replacement friend! Eat this, fake Wayne!
That's right. Yeah.
God. And of course, like,
so
I'm
anybody,
just like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, it could really come off as disrespectful. And I apologize if you thought it was disrespectful, Clayton. But yeah, the whole like Clayton.
It's a habit now.
It's a total inside.
Like one of my family members pronounces ibuprofen as ibuprofen.
It's your mom for sure.
It's definitely my mom, but I didn't really. She's not listening. But
tell us some other words that she says.
Abercrombie and Fish. Now you might not know what on earth that could possibly be, but it's Abercrombie and Fitch.
Well, mine says Abercrombie and Finch. Wait, now I'm second guessing it. Is that right?
No, dude, it's Fitch.
See how easy it is?
No, I don't.
You get older, it just happens.
Okay.
One thing that I have been into lately is I just started that Midnight Mass series.
Not interested. Told you to watch Squid Game first. Didn't do it.
Well, I'm not watching Squid Game. I can't watch it because I don't want to do the overdubs because usually it sucks. And I can't read subtitles because I'm drawing all day.
Well,
so
if you wake up at 5 like I do, you can watch it on the treadmill, and there you go.
Yeah, I sit with my kid and rock her every night for an hour. So
yeah, no, but you could still be in bed by 10. We're not going to get into it here. This is not the right place.
That's debatable. Anyway, Midnight Mass is amazing, and it's not I don't think it's what you think it is.
Cool, man. I'll check it out because I have been. Yeah. I need something,
dude. It's incredible.
There's just too much to watch.
There's a lot. I did see Night Teeth the other day, which is kind of like a modern sort of take on the like vampire movie, kind of like Fright Night, and I thought it was pretty cool actually.
I'll check.
I like the acting. Yeah, I mean it's nothing like super kind of like it's not like Anne Rice or something that's like serious. It's very sort of like modern pop culture-y vampire movie, but I mean I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that people have learned thus far about us is for the most part we're pretty like easy critics as long as like it's good storytelling. Yeah, there's like some sort of like cool something like about it, whether that's a soundtrack that just takes it to the next level, or if it's just like cool effects. we're going to be relatively easy on stuff because we can kind of see it for what it is. But
right.
Come on, Wonder Woman 1984. I mean, come on.
Oh my God. What a
worst.
Horrible.
How do you
movie.
How do you not just spend the entire budget on getting Metallica to let you use Ride the Lightning when she's literally riding? I'm not going to get into it, man. See, I'm already getting upset.
Yeah, where was the Tears for Fears song? Where was, I mean,
just don't. God, we have a whole episode about it. We're not going to get into it again. We're not going to revisit that.
Yeah, you're right. Couple things you do need to start if you haven't watched it. Lock and Key.
Oh yeah, I know, man. I know,
dude.
Now
it's amazing.
Is it appropriate for people that don't really like Anne is not super into scary stuff. Part of the reason why she wasn't at the Halloween Kills thing, and I'm telling you, after seeing those kill scenes, I'm very glad I didn't make her do it.
Well, it's definitely not like
it's more creepy than
gory.
It is like gory kind of thing.
Yeah, but even like the creepiness is it is cool. It's Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, and he's actually really great. Yeah. He had he's got a bunch of another series called like Nosferatu, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, it's kind of like originally it was a comic book, so it's got to be good.
Yeah,
and it was beloved, huge fan base for the Lock and Key books. I actually never read the comics. I've always kind of meant to, and my buddy Keith, shout out to Keith. Hey Keith. He's the one who was like, "Oh, you got to watch this show, man! It's amazing." And if you haven't read the books, it's fine. It's like the casting's pretty good, and it's enough to make you really want to read the books. And I gotta say, man, it's like right up our alley with like not just like straight up like, oh, it's like horror or whatever. It's very kind of like it plays on like sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like how, do you remember Thief of Always?
Oh yeah,
the Clive Barker book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of definitely has that vibe.
I love that kind of like Thief of Always, Something Wicked This Way Comes, like all these kind of like things that are creepy, but there's way more to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like beating you over your head creepy. Yeah. It's like, oh, here's a story with all these sort of weird abstract ideas that like make it creepy.
Yeah.
It's great, man. The show is awesome. And the second season just came out and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty excited too.
Man, that sounds pretty cool. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, get in there.
I know last week when we did our Halloween Spectacular, the finale to just this Halloween celebration we did all through October. I got to say, we got some really, really awesome listener stories submitted in. And I just wanted to make sure that the listeners that sent them in didn't think, oh, well, it wasn't good enough or anything like that. Absolutely not. To be honest with you, after we had already planned kind of the ones that we had talked about, boy, it was a lot of work. And we actually have decided to kind of do a special surrounding each of those stories anyway, an episode, I should say. Totally. So don't get your feelings hurt about that. But that's part of the reason why we decided not to include them on the Spooktacular episode, because we had already kind of planned out and written that episode, far enough in advance.
Yeah. And at the, like, you're basically what you're saying is like at the 11th hour also, we kind of had a good bit kind of come in.
Yeah.
And by that point, we had already, recorded all these other sort of our stories, and Woody had already started with all like the sound design and all that stuff. So we were kind of over halfway in. So it was like, well, let's just do like a listener story show.
Because there are some really good ones. And the good news too, for those of you that like that kind of like spooky stuff as well, or heck, even, UFO sightings and more, theoretical type episodes and stuff that we do. We've got some really good stuff that we're going to be bringing in from our listeners very, very soon. But I just wanted to make sure we said that because I know, if I had sent something in to one of the podcasts that we love and it didn't like show up into, you know what I mean? Like I would kind of be like bummed out. And I just want to make sure that if you sent something in, don't be bummed out. We're definitely using it this season, but certainly very, very soon. So, just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, I mean, if it were you would have already written the show off, given a 1-star review.
That is not true.
And not only that, but then you would have had me already hating
that's not
that
true.
Podcast.
Nice try. Cutting it out.
Hey, since we're kind of talking about the last episode, I do want to ask a couple questions about some of the stories that we had.
Yeah, we didn't really have a chance to kind of expand on them. So, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. We originally had thought that, we're going to have, we're going to kind of like go into it after every story, but it sort of felt like it took away some of the momentum and some of the like spookiness if they weren't sort of like together and back to back to back kind of thing. What's funny is I totally remember that story with your wife, Anne, about hearing the footprints. Because an ex-girlfriend and myself, were on the phone with her during, right?
Yeah, because I think like back then, especially for the younger audience, but if you're our age, you'll be able to relate to this. You know, you'd be like watching TV and chatting with somebody on the phone while because there was no Netflix, okay? So it's like it's on TV or whatever, and it's like late at night, you're just talking to your friends, and she probably called her best friend, and then you're just over there anyway, and so you're on speaker, which you love speakerphone.
Love it.
I hate it.
Yeah,
And,
I remember it being like her like freaking out, and originally I was sort of like, okay, give it a rest, man. But then, I don't know, you could kind of hear that like, oh no, this may be like something crazy. But I don't remember any of the stuff, and even that memory is like kind of vague in my mind, and I'd totally forgotten about it until I you told me about it. But I never knew about her like running out of gas.
It was literally like back to back to back stuff, man. And like
it's like a horror movie.
Yes, exactly. And I remember like
it's
when
like you trip and fall,
dude.
You
get out, you finally gain the courage to go down the stairs. Well, now something else happens. You hear a weird sound outside. Then you get the courage to go out to your mom's. It's saying carport makes it seem like it's got like a tent, like a little tent roof or something, but it was like a garage but without doors, literally
without a door. Yeah.
And you get the courage to get out there, and I understood her like natural sort of reluctance to go out there and be exposed like that in the dark to have to get into the car. So then she passes that barrier, and then as she's pulling out, like she loses phone service, so she's got to wait until she gets enough signal on her cell phone to call her dad back. And then when she does, her dad says, "Did you check the back seat?" And she's already driving like slow. There's no other cars. Where she lives and the back roads that she was taking is so rural and like empty. There's no street lamps, nothing. It's just dark country roads, tons of pastures and cow farm, all that stuff. And then she's running out on gas. And then she barely makes it coast into the, it's just like thing after thing after thing. Oh,
that's crazy.
Such a good, it's just a story that could just tell itself, man. It's just, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and that the feeling sort of that you got from like, when I was listening, it's like you immediately kind of go back to those times where you were in those similar situations and you had that same kind of fear, kind of the same also as your story when you heard your roommate coming in. It's like that like, legitimately there's a part of you that's like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, man, because like in your mind, you're thinking the first part is your defense mechanism that says, there's no way that I'm hearing this, right? And then thing after thing becomes louder, more real. It can't be the neighbors. I'm hearing this right outside of my room. Then my door bumps. Like, what the heck's going on? And then you check everything and you're like, what the heck, dude? It's so funny, man.
Yeah. What's funny is like, it's also kind of the feeling you get whenever you even as an adult. I was home alone the other night. Like, my wife was out of town. The in-laws had the kids. Number one, I didn't have a clue what to do with myself. I'm like, am I supposed to work or am I supposed to? But it's the same thing. It's like you hear something. It's like you hear like the ice machine, like in the fridge, like the ice fall. And then it's like you hear another sound. And it just starts to kind of like add up. It just compounds on itself to where it's like, now I'm sleeping with the lights on. Now I've got a gun beside my bed. It's like,
I don't really do that anymore. But
well, I'm not saying I did. I'm just saying people probably do that.
I think you're saying you did.
I'm not saying I did, but if somebody would have walked through that door,
you would have definitely kicked him with their little feet. But anyway,
we already did this.
My foot, we the screening, and it's been proven.
We measured our feet side by side, and my feet were 2 solid inches longer.
You're
and
so full of crap, dude.
You had those white marshmallow shoes to make them look bigger. You also, here's the thing about Woody, though, audience.
He's literally making it up as we go.
No, I'm not making anything up. I'm dead serious, and you've done this since I've known you.
So
you have these like inserts.
Oh my, dude, you're so full of crap.
No, there's nothing to be ashamed of, though, with it.
Man.
There are these
cutting it
inserts
out.
which make
It's
him
just
look. They make him
full
look
of
a
crap.
little bit taller, and I applaud you for it.
Dude,
I think it's
look. I'm not
pretty
some
cool.
tall drink of water. I'm like 5'10".
4.
No, I'm not. But at the same time,
God, what if you really were 5'4"?
I mean, I'd look even more like
would be
Danny
so
DeVito.
different. Yeah.
You know?
Oh man, I don't even know where to go after this.
Oh, you know what I was going to say is like, I know I mentioned earlier because of my tooth falling out. I watched Dune. I don't know. I don't know necessarily if I want to get into like what I think about it at all, but it did prompt me to reorder and begin to reread the first book because, and if you listen in, my brother definitely lost my copy of Dune. Just like he admittedly has like my Lord of the Rings trilogy. No, you know what, dude? Hold on.
I do not have it.
Hold on now.
I do not.
I remember.
have it.
Here's the thing. I don't think my brother does have this. That's unfair. I just kind of assume
You're
it because he
lying.
takes my other books. I think that I brought it on tour at some point.
Nope.
Oh yeah.
I do not.
And
I've
you're
never
just like,
read Dune.
Man, I've never read it. I'd love to get my hand. And then just like all the other books I let you borrow, and then you just don't read them.
No, if it wasn't Kerouac or Allen Ginsberg at the time, I was like, get it out of here.
Yeah.
What is this all about spices? Cool.
We get it, man. You love cinnamon. Now let's go.
Cool. No, I also have a confession to make. I still have, and your wife's brother, Ben, I still have his Counting Crows August and everything after CD
torn up
from
about it, I'm sure.
the 8th grade. I'm sure he is. I still feel bad about it, but what it did is they're still one of my favorite bands of all time. So thank you, Ben. How many days is Halloween from now? Halloween.
Well, by the time Halloween was yesterday when they listened to
Was
this,
yesterday.
yeah.
Right. What are your kids going as for Halloween? What are you going as for Halloween?
I think I'm going to be a Ghostbuster again because like our youngest first, she's so awesome, man. And also just such an individual. She begged this year, to be Black Panther. Now,
man,
that is awesome. But I have no idea why Black Panther is her favorite Avenger. She doesn't want to ever watch any of the Avengers movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. She just has seen like the trailer of the movie, and like I've let her watch like a little bit of. I mean, she's 5, but there's
Well,
just
wait a minute. Is she watching that new Spidey and His Amazing Friends animated?
Maybe, but no, I don't think so, man.
Because he's in that.
She just like loves that kind of, she likes cats and she likes just, I don't know. Anyways, she begged, she pleaded. Cool, no problem. We got her Black Panther. Then
changed her mind.
And now it's going to sound like she's spoiled, but here's why she's not. Years ago, when my son was obsessed with the Ghostbusters, I was a Ghostbuster, he was a Ghostbuster. We had a little baby costume that was a Ghostbuster costume for her.
Oh, man.
Like she was maybe 2. And then my wife was Janine. And that's what we went as. And it was awesome. Well, his old costume still doesn't quite fit her. But if we roll up the pant legs like she wants us to, that's what she wants. So she's like, I just want to be a Ghostbuster because I love Egon. And
oh, man.
Dude, she's obsessed with Egon. She's written these notes all around the house. And if we take them down, she puts new ones up that says like, I love Egon, or like Egon is my uncle, which I don't know what that means. It just all over the place, dude.
Oh, I love it.
So that's what we're going
so
as. We're
funny.
going as Ghostbusters.
Man, by the way, I'm sending you this right now. If you need the gun, I just saw this the other day.
No, man. We've got a PKE meter that works. And we also have the inflatable proton packs that look like really good, actually.
Which, by the way, dude, have you seen these are always amazing. It's like the studio quality version of like the PKE meter and stuff, where it like opens up and spins and everything.
Well, so the one that...
Oh, wait, maybe I'm thinking of something
You're
else.
thinking of like the girl Ghostbusters that spins, but
no.
We've got like the new toy, dude, for the PKE meter. It looks... I mean... Sorry. What happened there, man? Did you throw up?
You said you stroked out over there.
Sorry, man. I did stay up kind of late last night because the Braves are lighting it up. Anyway, the PKE meter like lights up the little arms on the side, like move up just like they did in the movie. It's awesome.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe the moving up.
Trying to watch a movie.
Wait, why am I thinking about? Didn't something like spin?
Yeah, dude, in the girl.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of?
You're the worst.
No, I'm talking about. And man, this is a deep dig here, deep dive. The little handheld thing that the little weird red-haired dwarf character had in
He-Man.
The
yes,
He-Man
dude.
movie.
Yes, he had it was the key. It was the he had to like play notes and stuff. It was like this weird thing.
But it would spin around. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. What I always remember about that character is how gross it was when he was like eating the chicken and the barbecue sauce on his beard.
The grossest part of I was literally about to say the exact same thing.
But man,
yeah.
I
need to see that movie again.
And you're talking about Masters of the Universe. Incredible, which is a hilarious movie, and we should probably do a breakdown of it as an episode because, boy, they just really. Why did they just want to make it be like Star Wars, but with He-Man in it?
Yeah,
it was. They could have done a lot better. But anyhow, I was obsessed at the time with Courtney Cox. Man, I had a huge crush.
Me
on
too.
her. And then the girl that plays, not Tila maybe? Yeah, Tila. Chelsea Field. I have no idea if she ever did anything else, but I had a massive crush on. Yeah, she was in Commando, Last Boy Scout, Harley Davidson, and the Marlboro Man.
I totally remember her from Commando.
But yeah, I had a massive crush on her at the time.
Oh, speaking of Courtney Cox, new Scream trailer.
Looks pretty cool, huh?
It does look pretty cool, but dude, 2 movies that I am so psyched to see that we saw trailers for with Halloween. One is The Black Telephone, which, wow,
boy.
Ethan Hawke looks amazing. And Antlers.
Yes. Guillermo del Toro.
Man, it looks awesome. Apparently, our buddy Jeremiah, like he just knows about anything that's like in the horror sort of side of things. But he said that apparently it was supposed to be released in like 2019, and it's taken this long to finally come out.
Yeah, both of those look incredible, man. I'm not used to Ethan Hawke being like this kind of character, which makes it even creepier. And then Antlers, I want to say that's about like a Wendigo. I think I read that. Or I saw some.
To me, it just feels like a Guillermo del Toro thing.
Yeah, dude. His mind and his design aesthetic is just...
It's amazing.
I love unique stuff like that. I love when a filmmaker just stands out. Like, I love Christopher... And, I'm sure super intense students of film like probably know better than I. Like, well, actually they're kind of influenced by this, this, and this. And you can... Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
Sure.
But...
We're like that with music.
Yeah. Though. But now it's like there's certain people that... It's just, you can tell that it's them. And, getting back real quick to Christopher Nolan, like to me, he's one of like the most original storytellers that exists out there right now. Everybody's like remaking stuff or, doing this, doing that. Him, Guillermo del Toro, he's super unique in his storytelling. Who else, man? I don't know. There's several others, that's true. But man, I just love that kind of stuff. When you can put your stamp on something so epic and huge. I just think that's really, really cool.
Well, and I think what's even more impressive about those guys is like they have such a strong like voice, that even if it's not, especially with like Guillermo, is like especially if like it can not even be like his movie, but he just has such a visual, like a strong voice and like visual storytelling that like you immediately just know like, oh, well, that's clearly a Del Toro kind of, because I did see something a while back that the movie was okay, but man, the visuals and stuff, it was about like the little fairies. They were like the Tooth Fairy. It's, I can't remember what it's called. It's like, it's not It Follows, but it's like one of those. And it was pretty cool, I guess. Family moves into like an old house and yada, yada, yada. But then these like little, they're right up our alley, straight up, Passport to Magonia kind of stuff. But they were like these like little like tooth fairy kind of things, but obviously bad. But yeah, he's amazing, man. Same with Michael Bay.
Well, I mean, truthfully though, look, he does have like a signature
He
style,
does.
man. And
he
it's
does.
you know, all of a sudden a car basically bumps barely into something, and then there's these giant fireworks that explode. Like he has, and it's hilarious to watch now. It's like, my gosh, man, he loves those like phosphorus,
The
like
lens flares.
yeah, those big flares and stuff. He loves that stuff, but he's got a signature style, and that's
He does.
That's cool.
It's over the top, and
Always,
it's
you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Did I talk about Free Guy at all
No,
in
but
the
I saw
past
it.
month? I feel like no,
loved
we
it.
didn't. But man, you saw it? Oh yeah, that's
did see
right.
it.
You told me that, dude. It's amazing, man. I loved that movie.
Yeah, I loved it too, man. That's another movie that I feel like I saw the trailer years ago.
I mean,
it
and
finally
what's
came
funny
out.
about that trailer is at first I was like, oh yeah, that'd be, you know, it's a cool concept. I like Ryan Reynolds and just about anything he's in. He's just awesome. I think my son may like it. You know, it's PG-13. But yeah, dude.
I wanted to show my kids, but just a little too.
My wife and I rented it like because I wanted to see it before I let him see it just to make sure. And we loved it. And then the next morning I woke him up and I was like, first thing, he's watching it with a bowl of cereal, basically. I was like, dude, you gotta see this. And we watched it like 3 or 4 times before.
Did he like it?
Oh,
he loved it?
Loved it, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it did kind of have like that maybe like Ready Player One kind of vibe, where it's sort of like over the top and like the, you know, the idea that like you're in this sort of immersive world the whole time. Yeah, I also really loved Taika Waititi as the bad guy.
Yeah, me too, man.
He was amazing. And I really loved the dude from Stranger Things.
Oh, yes, dude.
As like the...
Yeah. He was awesome, man.
He was great. Yeah, he definitely needs to be in a lot of, you know.
He's really, really cool.
I mean, Stranger Things, you know, is no slouchy movie. I mean,
Here we go.
franchise to be in, but, you know, he needs to be out there a little more. Because he's
Dude, what about that part when Waititi was like, he's talking to this like one guy, and the guy's like, oh man, you mean you want me to help you? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I think we should come up with like a slogan or something. He's like, okay, how about we'll just brainstorm 3, 2, 1, and then Waititi or whatever, he's the boss, right? And so he just like yells at the top of his lungs after he counts down. He's like 3, 2, 1, get back to work. And I'm like, yes. Oh, because he's like, his character is such an and it's just hilarious, man.
Man, anytime I can see that guy in his movies, like Hunt for the Wilder People, I know is another movie that you will never see just because I want you to see it. It is so good. And like he has just these like little bit roles that are just, God, they're so funny, man.
And there's just something about like the I don't know.
Like New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand accent, man, can make things like even funnier somehow. I don't know.
But his sense of humor is so like, it's just so weird and like abstract and like kind of dry. Like his character on Thor, like
oh gosh, dude, on Thor Ragnarok when he's the
Ragnarok,
like the bug dude. He's like when Thor's like, I'm gonna get out. He's like,
no, he's the rock guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Buddy's
that's right.
like
he's made of rocks
dude.
or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's what Doug said. And then like this whole thing of dialogue happens, and then Thor's like, I'm gonna whatever, blah blah blah, and he's like, okay, see you later, new Doug. Just like little subtle things, man, that they throw in there that is just hilarious. And he's like, yeah, well, I tried to start a revolution, but I ran out of pamphlets. I mean, that is amazing to me, dude.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell too that he's probably like half of the stuff that we're seeing is probably improv because he's just that kind of dude. He's amazing.
Did you ever see What We Did in the Shadows or whatever when they're like vampires?
Man, I tried
the movie, not the show, the movie.
Yeah, I tried to watch the movie. I didn't.
It, dude.
I didn't love it, but I don't know that I was like a huge fan of him yet.
Dude, go back and watch it, and even if it's just like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, because I think it might get a little but dude, it is hilarious, man.
Like, yeah, because it has the dude from Flight of the Conchords too.
Jermaine.
They're all New Zealanders, right? Yeah,
it's hilarious, man.
Yeah, those guys are really funny. Well, I think that about does it, dude. We've really sort of went over some things that we've been into. I think we had a good Halloween recap for those folks that still just don't quite have their fill of Halloween yet. So hopefully this is a good little bonus.
You know, I mean, sometimes
happy about
people just need to understand we are best friends to have a conversation. That's one of the reasons why we started the podcast.
Also, I got to say, man, the dedication to our fans for waiting to tell the story about you losing one of your teeth. I mean, that's pretty awesome. You didn't even tell me about it at all.
Yeah.
I had to learn through the podcast.
And it was scary, dude. Luckily, though, because Crown's like, dude, they have to send it out because it's a. I mean, they don't have to send it out to replace it, but when they make it, they give you like a temporary one, and then they send out this mold to like a dental lab that makes a replica tooth out of this like, expensive ceramic stuff that's gonna,
last forever, kind of thing.
And be strong in your mouth, right?
Hey, speaking of teeth, I did have
how did this get derailed into you?
I thought we were over. I thought we were just
but I'm just telling you the story.
No. It's kind of the same thing. And this leads to, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And then that leads into me asking you, did this happen to you?
Just go ahead.
Basically, I had a filling one time and like, I guess it wasn't right. And so like the shape was off. So like.
Speaking of dentist, that's also a blacksmith. Boy, go ahead.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's supposed to be a triangle right there.
He was an animal dentistry professional.
You a foreigner?
No, but I couldn't, like, my bite wasn't right. And dude, you think that sounds like a small kind of whatever thing. It's miserable, man. You can't eat right.
Super sensitive.
Well, no, it would be like if you like bit down and on one side, like instead of your teeth like fitting inside of each other,
Boy,
it was like
your mouth is just wrecked.
No. Well, I did have to I had to go back and have them to like fix it. It was so bad.
Wow.
Because I called and they were like, oh, well, that happens. Just let it like sort of wear its way down.
That sounds, boy, man. I hope you're not visiting that dentist any longer.
I'm actually not. And I haven't been to the dentist in 27 years.
Anyway, we hope you had a safe and happy Halloween yesterday or whenever you're listening to this. Whatever you do, don't forget to make sure you follow us on Instagram. That's really the best place to interact with us, not only on like basically a daily basis, but really to get more background and a little bit of a deeper dive on each episode that we release, and then kind of just see what our week is like and some of the interesting things that we're into at the time in between each episode.
Yeah, and if you want to talk to us, shoot us a DM or more long form kind of stuff. If you want to keep the stories coming, they don't have to be spooky. They don't have to be paranormal technically, but like, maybe you have something that's has a little high strangeness in it. Feel free to shoot us an email at thatwouldberadpod@gmail.com. Be sure to join the mailing list. Be sure to tell a friend if you can. Just one single friend about the show. Get on iTunes or whatever podcatcher you use. Give us a 5-star review if you can. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great segue into, as we get into November, talking and uncovering about some really cool concepts that Tyler and I have planned for you. And, just to kind of give it a little bit of a breather after such a sort of sound design heavy episode last week.
Oh, yeah. Big time. You need a break, my friend.
Hold on a second. Oh, my God.
You had another stroke, didn't you?
No, dude. Have you ever had that situation where all of a sudden it feels like there's something, the inside of your nose, God, hold on. God, itches so bad. It feels like something crawled up in there, man.
You get a bug in your nose? Yeah.
Oh, it itched so bad. I was trying to hold it together.
Jesus. I thought you had more to say. So like we say every week, we appreciate you, we love you, and as always,
be rad.
That's the way it goes. You're my favorite song on the radio. already dead, for you became a ghost. You always said our future would be a parade of flowers, but now all that's left is a single rose. That's the way it goes.
With anything with my story?
No.
Thanks.
Oh, God.
Nah.
Nah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
No, nothing
I don't even know what it was about.
there. So, we're good there. Oh, man, we got the giggles.